We're going to move on now and go to filmmaking. And we have one of the best wedding cinematographers in the business with us today. He partners with his wife, Natasha. His name is Ben Davis, and he's going to talk to you about being behind the veil in the art of wedding filmmaking. I met Ben when he started working with us on several projects, including a video he created for the 135mm Plenner Nikon Z, and you could see right there the amazing talent that Ben and Natasha will be or are, and how they fit our family just perfectly. And they are two of the latest Nikon ambassadors to come into the family, so we are so excited about that. Ladies and gentlemen, right here with us today in Dallas, Texas, Ben Davis.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me here. It's always a joy to be able to come and share with my peers and being able to pour back into the people who I used to be in these very seats, right? Having people pour back into me. So I'm not going to belabor your time. I'm going to get started here. That's me. But that's the real me. That's me all day, every day, no problem, right? My name is Benjamin Davis, as they said. I am one half of the team at Yamean Studios. I work with my beautiful wife. She is the queen of my life. I like to tell people that she does all the hard work. She does all the hard shooting. I just carry the bags, right? And even though she will refute that, I will stand on that. After 14 years of marriage, that's probably how I stayed married this long, because I realized that my wife is the backbone. A lot of people want to know, how did I get into wedding filmmaking? Well, by education, I went to engineering school, and I have a firm foundation in math and science, and I love doing that type of stuff. But I found out that I'm very much so a people person. I'm the guy at the wedding that dances with the flower girls. I'm the guy at the wedding that holds the flowers. And so how did I get from being a tech person to being more of a creative, right? Well, after college, I had a friend that I met, and she kind of pushed me into becoming a filmmaker, right? I had been doing some editing for a few studios because I was doing some graphic design work, I was doing some development work, and so they needed a commercial that needed to be cut. The studio that originally shot the commercial was unavailable. So they said, Ben, can you edit this video? I said, heck no, I can't edit this video. That's not in my wheelhouse, right? And so I did my best. I attempted to do it, and I kind of fell in love with it. But let's fast forward back to my partner here. So she saw this video that came on television, and she said, oh my gosh, you guys do video. No, we don't. This was a project, all right? And so she convinced me to come and shoot this wedding. And I dragged my wife along with me. Notice I didn't say I asked her. I dragged her along with me, because that's what good husbands do, right? And she actually fell in love with shooting weddings before I fell in love with shooting weddings. And so this is my beautiful queen. Her name is Natasha. Her smile is better than mine, but it's all right. All right? And so after we shot this first wedding, we realized that there was something that we was pretty passionate about, right? No matter what your craft is, no matter what you do, if you're not passionate about it, eventually the fun, the joy is going to go away from it, right? Eventually, you're going to lose that zeal, and you're not going to be as creative, you're not going to be as motivated, you're not going to have that dedication to continue to work in your craft. And so after we shot that first wedding, we posted it, of course, because that's what we do, right? We shoot something when we post it, and everybody's like, this is amazing, yay, right? And other couples started to call us and say, hey, can you guys shoot our weddings? And so at that moment, my wife was like, we might be onto something here. And so for us, it kind of took us back when we got married in our wedding video back in 2011, when weddings weren't so glamorous looking with video, right? Because we were still shooting with the big box cameras like this, yeah, right? So things weren't that cinematic, there weren't sliders, there weren't all these cool things. And so the one thing that, when we meet with our couples, the one thing we say is, no matter how cool your wedding video looks, if you put it on and you can't feel the way you felt that day in here, if you still don't get goosebumps when you put it on, then you probably didn't pay the right person to do the job, right? Because that, at the end of the day, that's the job of your wedding video. It's not to look cool on social media, while we wanted to do that. It's really about creating a piece of art, a tool for your couples, so that they can sustain marriage and live happily ever after. The end. That's my talk. Thanks for coming. No, I'm just playing. But really, that's what wedding filmmaking is really about. It's about creating tools for couples to have so they can create lasting love, right? And so for me and my wife, we consider it a ministry. It's not like a job. It's not something we do for fun. We take it very, very serious. And so we've been fortunate to tell some amazing stories across the globe with some really cool people, from chefs to celebrities to basketball players. But at the end of the day, people are people. And the most important thing is it's two people who fell in love. No matter what level of celebrity, no matter how much money they have in the bank, love is love. And so we're passionate about telling stories that are about love, right? Now, when you think about weddings, all weddings are pretty much exactly the same. You get dressed, you go to the ceremony, right? You take some pictures, you eat some cake, you do the cha-cha, and then you leave, right? Every wedding is pretty much the same at its core. So our job as cinematographers are seeing what they don't see, creating magic based upon what's happening. Now, the fun thing about being a wedding filmmaker is they expect you to be the jack of all trades, master of none, right? You got to be the lighting guy, got to be the camera guy, you got to be the audio guy, right? But in using all those tools, you can create some beautiful stories so that these people have some amazing memories to look back on. So today I'm just going to dive a little bit into our process, the storytelling, a little bit about how we work on a wedding day, so that way you have some tools to take back with you. So no matter what type of project you're working on, whether you're shooting a wedding, whether you're shooting a commercial, whether you're shooting a brand video for your business, whether you're working on some testimonials, right, for your clients, pre-production is very, very important. Where I find most wedding videographers fall off a little bit is they don't take the time to do proper pre-production. So let me walk through what pre-production looks like in our studio. For us, getting to know the couple is probably the most important part of the day. Well, the most important part of our process, right? When you think about a film, it's supposed to tell a story. How can you tell a story if you don't know the people, you don't know the place? Most of the time we know the plot, right? Two people fell in love, they're gonna kiss, eventually, right? And get married. And so all those things are really, really important, but how can you learn those things if you don't take time to actually get to know your couple? So for us, we have a consultation with every single client we book. And it might sound crazy, but it's important for us to get to know these couples. Let me tell you why. On a wedding day, 50% of what's being said is not actually coming out of your mouth, right? So if you don't understand the power of nonverbal communication, if you don't understand the power of the small glances, of the side jokes, of the pulling on the heartstrings, pulling on here, you'll miss a lot of what's going on in a wedding day, right? I know from being married, when I was at the altar, I told mad jokes at the altar, right? And so I know a lot of my couples, they have the same type of experiences when they're doing first looks, when they're getting ready, when they're doing their dances. There's a lot that's going on that most people miss unless you pay attention to the fine details. So in pre-production, when we meet with our couples, we actually record all of our consultations. And we ask specific, intentional questions that we know will get us nonverbal responses from them. For example, I will ask one of the partners, how did you know that the other person was the one, right? If it's a funny story, immediately they start laughing. Boom. Oh my gosh, tell them. No, you tell them, right? That's important. That tells me a lot about how they interact as a couple. Because on their wedding day, guess what they're going to do? They're going to do the same exact thing when something funny happens, right? So now I know how to push a button intentionally to get that reaction because I need authentic emotion to happen on a wedding day, right? So we record all our calls, and we go back and we watch them the day before the wedding over these series of questions so we can relearn our couple's nonverbal communication styles, right? We research the venues, of course, right? Things that are Googleable, that's important. We look at where the sun's gonna be, right? Because lighting is important. You wanna control the things you can control, right? I don't like my couples to be backlit for video. This is tough. So I need to know where the sun's gonna be so I can make sure they're in the right place at the right time, and I'm in the right place at the right time to capture that perfect moment because there's no do-overs, all right? So, also do a pre-production. We're learning about all the details, all the important people at a wedding, right? It's not just about the bridesmaids and the groomsmen. There's also people that we learn that are pivotal to their story that a lot of filmmakers and photographers miss. The friend, the grand-auntie, the little baby. These things are important to their story, right? And if you don't ask the right questions, you won't know their significance until you deliver a product and then they ask you, well, did you get my grand-auntie? I didn't know there was a grand auntie. You didn't tell me. How was I supposed to know that was her, right? Right? So you got to ask the right questions so you can get the right answer so you can deliver a product that they'll be happy about. Now, when we first started shooting weddings, we used to shoot everything. I'm talking, if it moved, we filmed it. Over the course of the years, we realized that that's probably not the way to do things. And why is that? Well, while I'm trying to shoot everything, I'm actually shooting nothing at the same exact time, right? You ever look for a needle in a haystack? You don't know what a needle is, so you're looking everywhere, but it could be right in front of you. There could be a diamond right in front of you. But if you're not looking in the right place, you're going to miss it, right? So by having these pre-production calls and asking these correct questions, we can figure out what exactly we're looking for on a wedding day. Again, I told you, I'm that guy. I dance with the bridesmaids. I dance with the groomsmen. We're going to cha-cha slide. We're going to do all the things. We're going to have a good time, right? So during pre-ceremony, what I'm typically doing is, one, I'm walking into the room, I'm looking for the best light in the room. I want to make sure that the person who's getting ready is in the best light ever, right? Because no matter where I shoot them from in that room, they're going to look like $1 million, right? If they in the bathroom, that's probably not God's plan for their life. Get out the bathroom, let's go find a window, right? And I'll convince everybody in the room to agree with me, especially when the photographer gets here. We'll skip around like, hey, let's get by this window, guys, right? We'll do that type of thing. So also what I'm doing is I'm getting to know everyone on an intimate level, right? I do this at every single wedding. Don't judge me. I promise. If you ever shot with me, you know I do this. I walk in the room. My wife's normally in front of me. She's normally the serious one. I'm normally a jokester. I find whoever the partner is, and I say, oh, my gosh, you're getting married, yes, right? I do that on purpose. One, so everybody else in the room knows that I'm fine. Whatever I ask you to do, you're not going to complain, right? Because that's a big deal on wedding days. If I ask the bridesmaid to do something, she got an attitude, it's going to make for a long day, right? So now I'm showing everybody else in the room that the bride is my friend or the groom is my friend, and whatever I ask you to do is not a problem. Two, I'm trying to figure out the pulse of the room at that time. Like, are we stressed out, right? Are we having a good time? Because if we're stressed, everything I do from then on, you're going to look like stress on your face. And when I deliver a video with stress on your face, you're not going to be happy. So I have to create a situation for you to look happy and look excited. Last but not least, I'm trying to figure out who all the main characters are in the room that you told me on the pre-production call that I never actually seen their face because I don't ask you to send me pictures. So if you're important, eventually you'll be like, who is this dude coming in here all bubbly? Oh, that's my videographer. He's amazing. Oh, okay. And then I get to meet them, right? So for us, that's really, really important because, again, I want to go back to weddings are about the people. Weddings are about people. It's not about flowers, not about dresses. It's about people. So we're telling stories about people here.
Dear Katie, this is a very special day, and you are a very special young woman. This box contains tokens for you because we love you. The lace hanging is a tradition, and he used it when she married Papa on November 21, 1953. I carried it at my wedding to Daddy on June 6, 1987. You will have the honor of carrying it with you today on your wedding day to Tony, September 24th, 2016. The blue heart necklace is important because it symbolizes that Daddy and I carry you in our hearts every day. We are only as happy and content as is our baby Katie, who has grown into a very confident, intelligent, and beautiful young woman. We love you for eternity and beyond. Love, Mom and Dad.
So let me outline what happened in that clip, because that clip was actually pretty deep if you know the backstory. So I walked in the room, I did my, oh my gosh, we're getting married, and she started bawling crying. I was like, oh snap, what type of day we gonna have today? Like, what did I miss, right? And so in doing that, I found out that the groom was in the hospital the night before. He almost didn't make it. That changes the dynamic of the wedding. Knowing this information changes the approach and changes the way I have to look at the rest of the day, right? Because I can't get good footage if she looks sad or she's crying all day, because she's never going to want to watch that, right? It was actually so bad that she put everyone out the room. Like, literally, she put her mom out of the room, right? Now, again, weddings are about people. So because I take the time to get to know these people, I have these pre-production calls, I ask these questions, I use my personality to gain trust, right? She allowed me to stay in the room, the photographer, and the wedding planner. She kicked her mom out. That's crazy. I'm better than the mom. Thanks, I win, right? But it's about understanding how do you reach your clients, right? And so for us, being able to connect with our clients on a deeper level is super, super important, right? Now, if you notice in that clip, everybody was always in the light. I'm always looking for the light, no matter what's going on. I think in one of them shots, my wife was in the bathroom shooting, like through a window. Where my wife does crazy stuff. She's like under the couch, like she's a magician. That's how we get some of this stuff. Not me though. I'm too big. I can't get under the couch. But making sure we put them in some great light, so wherever we shoot, we can get some good footage. So one thing I love to tell people that I work with is that I'm always going to prioritize moments over magic, right? I know you see the videos, they look super cool, they're super epic, the camera does this, right? That type of thing. That's cool, but if you don't do that at the right time, you can take away from the monument of the moment, because again, weddings are about the people. It's not about you, right? It's not about us. I do want to do some cool stuff, but not if it's going to sacrifice the moments for you and your family, right? I'm sure we've all been to a wedding where the videographer is standing right in front of grandma, and grandma's like, excuse me, sir, can you move, right? That's being aware about what's going on, because again, the weddings are about the people. So when we shoot ceremonies, we always prioritize the moments over the magic. We try to stay still. We try to reverence whatever religion or not religion that's happening, because these are sacred moments. In some places, if you move too much, they'll put you out, right? When you shoot in Catholic churches, they don't like a lot of movement. So you have to learn to be stable and be able to be creative using the moments that are there. Now, for me, this is my favorite part of the day, when we get portraits, all right? Me and my wife, we play this game called, we play it actually once or twice a month, where it's called Make All the Cool Stuff You Can Make in 5 minutes. Right? It originated when we first started shooting weddings, back when we shot all manual focus. Praise God, all the video, a lot of the cameras now have autofocus. But when everything was manual focus, you had to practice a lot so you can nail focus, right? And so we'll pull up to a random place with random things. I might ask my kids to get out the car, and I just tell them to run around. And we make as much cool content as we can make for 5 minutes, right? Why is that important for portrait time? Well, normally as a wedding filmmaker and even a wedding photographer, you don't have a lot of time. And they expect you to make the world like you got a whole studio at your fingertips, right? So you have to be super creative. You have to think on your feet. You have to be really, really fast. So by playing this game intentionally every month, we're able to create so many more pieces of content to use for our wedding films, because normally the films we deliver are 15 to 20 minutes long. 15 to 20 minutes of not just talking is 15, 20 minutes of kind of some of the videos I showed you. 2 seconds here, 3 seconds here, 5 seconds, which means you need a lot of clips to fill up 15 minutes at 2 seconds, 3 seconds each. So we're intentional about making sure we practice. When we're shooting portraits, I'm a big fan of directing over posing, because if I ask you to smile, you're going to do this, and you're going to give me your third grade Olin Mills photograph. No shade to Olin Mills, but you're going to give me your third grade photograph. And that's not what we want, because it doesn't look authentic. It doesn't look genuine. So I ask people, I give people verbal cues. Like, instead of saying smile, I'll say, oh my gosh, who are you marrying today? And if you ask me, I'd be like, my beautiful wife, she's amazing. And then I would start smiling. Without me telling you to smile, you gave me the most authentic version of your smile that you'll ever get. So for me, portrait time is great. It gives us a lot of time to get a lot of eye candy. If we make a mistake, it gives us a lot of time to get B-roll where we get patch over things, just being honest. Things happen in a wedding. Sometimes you don't have control. And so you need to have methods, built-in methods, to be able to fill in the gaps. So now we're rounding out the day, right? If you think of a wedding as a story, there's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end, right? You got Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Normally for weddings, reception is Act 3, unless they got an after party. I like after parties. They got chicken wings. So at the reception, it's about establishing place. Normally people pay a lot of money for their reception, and it's on purpose, right? 4 elements to a good story: people, place, plot, right? All those things are super, super important. So at a reception, it's important to shoot. This is the only time I shoot everything on the table, only on the table. Not everything that's happening, just the actual things that they spent money on, because those things are really, really important, and they normally have sentimental value. The reason why we have pre-production going back is so we understand the sentimental value of all these things to the actual story, right? Sometimes they choose specific colors. There's specific floral patterns. There's specific chairs because they have sentimental value to the couple. So how do I weave these things that seem inanimate and not special into a story where it comes to life and it makes sense? So that's why we go back to pre-production is super, super important. Now, the great part about the reception is it's also about the fun. Wedding is probably the biggest part of you will ever throw yourself in your life. And the couples want to feel that way, right? So you want to give them back what happened that night, so that way they can look back on it and say, oh my gosh, all my family, my friends come in. A lot of our weddings, people travel from all over the world to be a part of it, right? So it's important to capture everybody. The one thing about the reception that I love and we're intentional about is making sure we get some clips of every single person that's actually at the wedding. That's the easiest way to do it. At some point in time, everybody dances, and if they don't, they're probably at table 1 or table 2, and table 1 and table 2 is probably aunties, grandmas, people who probably are not the most mobile. So it makes it easy for me to get what I call, what's the word I'm looking for here? Accountability shots, making sure I got everybody. You got some video on Auntie? Yes, Auntie was at table 1. Let me go find it. Boop, there it is. Yay, everybody's happy, right? But also, they tend to have a good time too, right? And let's be clear, during COVID, I lost my grandmother, right? And one of the things that's special to me in my wedding film is that the videographer went to my table 1 and went and captured the most senior members of my family, looking their best, having the most amazing time, celebrating me. So for our studios, it's important that we take that same care to give that back to everyone, right? because you never know, right? We did a wedding for a couple, and the groom didn't make it 2 weeks after the wedding. I bawled my eyes out the whole edit. The edit wasn't really for the wife. It was actually for the family. They watched it at the funeral. So while we're trying to film all the cool things, remember, these are families. Again, weddings are about people, right? So you have to be intentional about making sure you capture the people. And last but not least, I want to talk about sound. Because at the end of the day, video is about sound. It's about what you hear. You ever watch a scary movie with the sound off? It's probably not scary, right? It's just, you just looking at stuff flash, right? Right? So I'm a firm believer in the eyes see what the ears hear. So all the little things that happen at a wedding. Remember we talked about all the nonverbal communication, all the jokes that happen at the altar, all the whispers during the first look. That's the meat and potato of the weddings right there. Yes, everybody's going to get up there and say, I, Steve, take you, Becky, take you, Becky. That's going to happen, right? But when you look back on your wedding 10, 15 years from now, when I think about my wedding, it's those little jokes, it's the little things that me and my wife talked about that are super, super important. And so as filmmakers, it's our job to take those little tidbits and figure out how to weave them into a story so that the couple, again, could get these goosebumps when they turn on their wedding film.
Respected at the city gate, where he takes his seats among the elders of the land.
Ready to make out.
Let these rings be to Marcia and David, a symbol of unending love and faithfulness, reminded of the vow and covenant which they made on this day.
It's crazy.
That's pretty awesome.
Honor her. Oh, that her hands have.
Right? Most videographers probably would have threw those whispers away. What am I going to use these whispers for, right? Well, when I delivered that film to the couple, they was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know you were still recording. Yes, I record everything. I'm crazy, right? So those little things mean so much more to couples than a lot of people give credit for. So let me just put it all together for you. I love movies. I'm a movie buff. So as you can see from the clips, my style is very movie-esque by design because that's what I love to do. And the couples that we attract also love movies, and they want to be the star of their own movie, right? Do we shoot in such a way where we're intrusive on their day? No, it's really about understanding light, being able to see light pretty quickly, and being able to apply it to every and all situations. And one thing that's cool about our couples, I would say about 25 to 30% of them literally rent out a movie theater to show their wedding film to their family and friends, right? So for me, that's a humbling and an honoring experience, because they could watch it on their phone, but they want to share it with the world because most people actually never see the wedding film unless they post it on Instagram.
So many times where I felt like before I even met you, that something like this wasn't even possible.
You belong to me.
Since you came into my life, well, honestly, I've never looked back. Thanks, man.
Eric, are you willing to take her as your wife?
Facts. I do.
I'm already your biggest hype man, and I will continue to be. And this is it, boo.
So I always like to end by saying, I end all my talks by saying, you can make bad wine from good grapes, but you can't make good wine from bad grapes. What do I mean by that? No matter what your project you're working on, whether you're working on a film, whether you're working on portraits, whether it's for weddings, whether it's for branding, no matter what it is, you have to have solid building blocks on whatever you do. if your building blocks are not solid, I don't care how hard you work, you're going to have a hard time putting it all together to create something magical, right? So if I could leave anything with you guys to empower you, become great at the fundamentals of filmmaking, of photography, learn all the rules, because once you learn all the rules, then you can break all the rules, and the sky's the limit. Thank you guys for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ben Davis. You don't have to look around. I'm here. I'm everywhere, brother. You stay right there because I'm coming up with you, and I'm going to give you a big hug. Thank you so much. Awesome work. What do you think, guys? Ben Davis.